Greetings. Wish you the best of health. Thanks for tuning in. And today, just going to focus on Vulcan Energy. So, looking at the price year to date, it's looking pretty good. It's going in the right direction. There have been a few dips, fluctuations in the market. There was one equity raise, so you can see that a couple of months ago. But we're on an upward trajectory. We've got a market cap now way over 800 million US dollars, which, relatively speaking, for this type of company, one would consider high, but that is because it's in a far more advanced stage. Just recall that we're looking to get into production around 2026, 2027. But things are progressing. Now, the key news items we're waiting for the rest of this year, I think, are further progress on funding, the financing, and also the commissioning of their centralized extraction plant as well. I hope I got the right plant. For those where I made a mistake, you know which one I mean. So we get news on those items. I think that's going to be very, very positive, continued progress, because that's what it's about now. Execution. Very interesting development that I saw in a notice for an extraordinary meeting, and in one of the clauses, I've put it up here, Chris Marina is being given incentives to be expected. However, very interesting that the chairman now, Dr. Vidin, has declined because he feels he's incentivized enough and does not want to further dilute shareholders or minimize the dilution to shareholders. Now, I think whichever way you cut that or look at it, that's really positive. It's from my perspective, it's corporate maturity, and it shows understanding and consideration for your shareholders. I think that's meritable, and again, it gives me a high level of confidence in the management of this company. And you'll see with many companies, many projects that look really good, it's the management, the leadership, the decision making that you are dependent on at the end of the day. So yeah, this was a real plus for me, a nice surprise. I got some updated projections from this particular site, Fintel, on the share price, 12 months forwards. They update these apparently every month, but obviously updates depend on how much brokers update their forecasts. And I think this is still from around February 2024. So you can see the various projections, low, medium, high. The low one is already kind of off track compared to where the share price is now. And I think, depending on the forward announcements on debt financing, further setup on the equity side as well, and the commissioning of the next stage of the plant, I'm positive that as a minimum the base case trajectory is good, and I think at some point investors will start to have a re-rate once we get into more advanced production and testing, because remember, once again, this is phase one of this plant, and as long as there is demand, there are options for expansion later in the decade. So that provides optional value. And also, July the 1st, as you can see, Vulcan welcomes Germany's geothermal acceleration draft law. Not too much to say about that, but but that is positive. I mean, Vulcan is in the business of producing lithium and renewable energy from geothermal sources. So this shows that it's strategic to Germany to expand its geothermal sources, and Vulcan is at the heart of that. It's another tick. It's another tick. Finally, how is the EV scene looking globally? I mean, most newspapers that I read very downbeat, but I think most newspapers that I read are the Western press, essentially. I mean, English language first, other various language second, but English is primary educational language, and most of the Western press are quite downbeat. But I've put this chart up from Inside EVs, and at least globally, taking into account some localized and regional slowdowns in growth of EVs. However, globally, EVs, plug-in cars, which includes all of them, are growing at a nice sort of pace. We need this to continue to avoid further sort of slowdowns in investments, like you may have heard Northvolt, Sweden, I think. We do need the adoption of cars, EVs, etc. to grow, and I think the backdrop for that is there. We just had elections in UK, in France. We've already had announcements on the direction of travel with respect to the energy transition and decarbonisation. It's clear, and I've mentioned this before, that in particular Europe and North America have been protectionist because they wanted to get their house in order, their ducks in line, etc., with their own industries to gain maximum benefit. So I think we'll continue to see growth globally in EVs and hybrids to cover all the electric application. And really, once the producers, OEMs, and supply chain, North America and Europe, are more consolidated, I would expect the products to accelerate there further as well. I mean, I would say it's almost artificially slightly suppressed based on what we see. However, more focus on grids, more focus on providing choice to the consumer, and that's a key thing. Consumers want access to these $10,000 US, $15,000 US, $20,000 US EV options. That's the key. What is the key right now? Decarbonization is an issue, but also affordability is a major issue. Combine these two issues and EVs are the answer. Then we've got technological advances, the infotainment, FSD, and all of these things, and it's quite interesting. One YouTube channel that I've kind of been looking at, it's a gentleman called the Electric Viking, and he's pushing out videos like crazy. It's pretty good. I mean, he refers to sources, he spits out statistics, and he's pretty entertaining in the way he describes what's happening in the EV industry. Well worth a watch. That's I'm not getting anything for that, just my opinion. Okay, so until next time, I think Vulcan Energy, so far so good. Any comments that you have from your sides, please let me know. But let's watch this space. Cheers.